Welcome back to live coverage of tonight's three races here at the Silverstone National Circuit for rounds 10, 11 and 12 of Season 2 of the 2014 BSR Carrera Cup on iRacing.com, here live on BSR TV on YouTube. Scott Woodward and Marcus Narris here to call the action once again, and first of all, our apologies for the technical problems that we experienced during the broadcast for the first race of the evening, both experienced by myself and also the broadcast itself, as Marcus had to go into radio commentator mode for the entire race whilst I was trying to sort out my connection, my loading into the server, but unfortunately some problems prevented me from getting in. But everything appears to be fixed for race 2, so we can now crack on and carry on as usual. So, moving forward then into race number 2 of the evening, round number 11 of the championship, means that of course we do have the reverse grid as normal for the second race of the evening, and it's going to be Robert Plumley on pole position. But of course, Marcus, you were mostly the eyes and ears for that race weekend, for that race last time out. What would you say for those who didn't see race 1 were the key points that we could take away from the first race of the evening tonight at Silverstone?
It just really followed on from what we were saying before the start of the race when we were reflecting on last week's races from Daytona. Again, a lot of the key guys seemed to struggle. Ian D. Smythe, unfortunately, was bumped not very heavily by Alan Tessier from behind him, what was certainly just one of those things, and that put him well down the order. Michael Stephen had a great run. As I say that, Michael Stephen is just throwing off the circuit in warm-up. But unfortunately, as we kind of predicted he might do, struggled to hold it out front. He seems to have a very heavy right foot and gets on the gas a little bit early. And what that really did was it allowed championship leader Stefan Hug a relatively easy ride to the finish. I don't want to do a disservice to the two JCL sim racing guys that were behind him, of Jean-Christophe Godard and Alain Tessier, but really, although they were close, and at times very close, they really didn't look like going past him. Who looked to have that race under control from lights to flag, and with the exception of a couple of laps when he was behind Michael Stephen, he seemed very comfortable, and it's an ominous sight for the rest of the championship to see him so far ahead in terms of his ability to control the car and his emotions.
So, going into the second race of the evening, Robert Plumley will start on pole position. Based on his form so far this season and tonight here in race 1, do you think he has possibly what it takes to take a race victory tonight, or do you think there are drivers out there that are just too strong and will overhaul him as the race unfolds?
But in terms of absolute pace, he's about a second down, and around a circuit like this where you've got two relatively fast areas, that being around turn 1 at Copse and down the back straight, followed by big stops at Beckett's and at Brooklands, it's really going to be a bit of a challenge, I think, for him to hang on. This isn't a tough circuit to pass a car that you are genuinely quicker than. And as I say this in warm-up, Plumley's 14th and with a 55.4, and Alan Tessier's just gone top with a 54.5, so he's genuinely about a second behind the guys that are coming up behind him. Now, that said, he's not going to be a second slower than the guys starting behind him. The quick guys are going to be a good 8, 9, 10 positions away from him, so if they can get through the field quickly, I think he'll struggle. But if they struggle in the mid-pack, then he's certainly got the skill, if not the outright speed, to take a win. But I think it might be a bit too much of an ask, to be honest with you, for him to take a win at this stage on outright speed.
Also looking in the warm-up, we've got a couple of drivers, as we mentioned in the broadcast for the first race. Obviously, drivers who are making their first appearance are drivers that we don't usually see in the championship, definitely making an instant impact. Two of which I think we can make note of are Jean-Christophe Godard in fifth quickest at the moment on a 54.648, and the 007 of Andy Scheel in sixth with a 54.716. And what do you think it is for these drivers that are coming in on a one-off basis sometimes, who just seem to make an instantaneous impact? Do you think, what kind of impact do you think they'd be making on the regular guys in the championship if they were to do more of a full season across the spread of the Carrera Cup itself?
Well, it was one of the reasons that the car changed. We changed to the track car. A lot of the guys run this car in various official series on iRacing, and the idea was to make it much more accessible for those guys who couldn't necessarily spend hours and hours a week practicing a specific circuit. You know, we're here at Silverstone this week, but these Roof 12 seat track cars aren't running at Silverstone in the official. And what that allows us to do is guys who are familiar with the cars, and guys who can drive the cars, know the characteristics, the off-throttle understeer, the on-throttle oversteer, and all that good stuff. It enables them to jump into the series and be reasonably competitive. And we saw that in the first race, Goddard taking a second place, and Andy Shield having a good run as well. So it's certainly, as the organisers intended, it makes the championship a lot more accessible, and guys can just drop in and drop out of the championship, and it gives us great competition and very big fields, which is great to see.
Looking down the rest of the field, of course, we've got Michael Stephen, who was fast but flawed in some cases, that he can't keep it on the road, rather likes to throw it off into the scenery. But he's currently, he was, as I say that, he must have been listening to me, because he just come up to the top of the times with a 54.236, which is fractionally faster than Alain Tessier in second place. Stefan Hug is also in the 54.2. So we've got three guys up there who are setting very consistent but very close lap times together. So, I mean, these three guys Stephen's going to have to battle his way through the field, because, of course, after his mistake in the first race will mean that he will have to try and make up time in that instance. With Tessier and Hug, who are still starting in the top 10, they have track advantage. But given the pace that Michael has, how fast do you think we'll see him move up through the field? Of course, we know it's all about how quickly he can get through the traffic and what kind of start he can get away from the line, and if he can keep it on the road in the opening couple of laps. But once he settles down, how do you think this pace that he's showing in warm-up will translate to his race pace come in a few minutes' time?
If he can keep it on the circuit, he stands a great chance of putting himself in a strong position for this race. Certainly, it's not beyond him to get in and around the top 10, and he can put himself in a position where, with a reverse grid in race 3, he can have a really good grid spot. But the key for me is he's got to stay out of trouble. He's got to keep it on the circuit.
Well, all these questions will be answered very shortly, as the cars are waiting to be gridded up on the start-finish line towards the run towards Copse. Of course, it's a 2.63 mile with this circuit, 6 turns. Of course, again, the weather conditions once again partly cloudy, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, with a 2 mile an hour northerly wind and race humidity of 55%. It is just an 18 lap race that is going to be, of course, around the shortest version of the Silverstone circuit. Waiting for a few guys to actually grid up, including Robert Plumley. Plumley hasn't actually got us to grid, he's jumping on just now.
Yeah, but he's just there now.
So now waiting for the rest to come up for round 11 of the BSR Carrera Cup at Silverstone. Plumley and Shield on the front row. Lights are out now, and we're racing at Silverstone, and what a great start from Tian Damis in the 301. He's already up to second place. He gets the inside line, slotted behind Plumley as they head down towards Copse for the first time, and already we've had a bit of contact, I think, as they head down. Damis goes wide and also trying to slot themselves in. They're all trying to sort themselves out, but I think for the moment, Marcus, Plumley has the lead down towards the Maggots complex.
Yeah, an absolute rocket ship start from Tian Dames in 5th, and I think and there's contact involving, looks like Dames again. I think he scared himself with quite how quickly he got away. He couldn't really find himself a gap, and there was a little bit of contact. But also Plumley got a very, very strong start. He got away very, very well and was able to stay away from the shenanigans going on behind him. But he's under some pressure now.
Yeah, heading into the Maggots, into Brooklands and Luffield. Looks like he's under pressure from Dion Phillips in the 015. And the contact that Tian Dames made was actually with the front row man, Andy Shield. So he is right down the field. He got punted off into the gravel at Maggots. He's got a lot of work to do. Round Woodcote for the first time on already. Dion Phillips is giving Robert Plumley the big hurry up as he looks to the outside of Copse corner for the lead of the race here at round 11. And can't just get it done at the moment. And now it could always be 3 wide because Richard Wild, they're going to be 3 wide down towards Maggots complex. And in the middle of it, it's all going to be Robert Plumley. And Dion Phillips somehow gets it all stopped and just about makes the corner. And Plumley almost goes straight on, runs wide across the tarmac, so does Richard Wild. And Tian Dames, despite his collisions, he's up in 4th place. What an awesome battle on lap 2.
Yeah, it's really good up front. Some great driving there. There was no way 3 wide was going to work into the braking zone of Beckett's, and they managed to sort themselves out. Just keeping an eye on Michael Stephen. He's currently running in 27th place. He's making a run up the inside of, it looks like, Laura Bond to take 26th place. And as we speak, he's just about to tear up the inside of Cyril Thomas to take 25th place. So, as anticipated, Michael Stephen really on a move.
Down 3 wide now in the battle for 4th place. It's Darmes, Tool and Goddard. And I think Goddard has just taken 5th position from a number 5 of Gary Tool. Yes, he has. And here comes Alain Tessier to the outside of Gary Tool. They're also going to go 3 wide down towards the complex of Maggots. And through all, I think it looks as though Goddard has kept his nose in front. Yes, he has. And Tessier's got through as well. So Gary Tool's lost 2 spots as they go side by side on the exit of Maggots. Down the back straight they come. And also in there as well, Ian D. Smythe and Stefan Hug. They're all battling on. These 3 are the 3 fastest men of the championship, arguably. And it's Smythe and Tessier. Smythe is late on the brakes, steaming down the inside of Gary Tool. And how on earth was there not a collision between all of those guys, Marcus?
There's some great driving there from Gary
and
Tool.
Somebody's off. Somebody's off is on the outside.
It's Goddard. It's the number 18 car. It's Jean-Christophe Goddard. It looks like he's just got out wide. They got it on the grass and spun around. I'll have a look at that one if you keep calling it, and I'll have a look, see what happened there.
So, on lap 4 then of 18, and it's Dion Phillips who leads, but is there a change for second as Robert Plumley under attack from Richard Wilde in the 147 as they make their way down towards Maggots once again for the 4th time, and they're going to be side by side, someone getting very loose in the background, but somehow keeping it on the road. Wilde sticking up the inside now, Robert Plumley. Plumley's being very brave to hold it round the outside, got a lot of confidence to keep that second place as they head onto the back straight once again, and just behind that's Ian D. Smile, I think, battling it out with Gary Tool also for 5th position, the purple machine. The number 06 of Andy Smythe is also in there, and Stefan Hug tries to fancy himself a move into Brooklands once again, as that's now going to be for 6th and 7th, and these guys really are being fast and furious, and not exactly letting the pace up. It's only 18 laps, but it's certainly treating it like a sprint race.
Yeah, there was nothing sinister in Jean-Christophe Goddard going off. He, again, just too early on the gas, and he spat off the circuit. If I was Stefan Hug, I wouldn't be massively impressed with Gary Tool in front. A great bit of team driving though from Tool, and he deserves congratulations. He managed to let his teammate Ian D. Smythe rocket past him up the inside and managed to get his car back in front of Hug as Smythe went past to prevent Hug from going past as well. A really great bit of team driving, but if I was Hug, I wouldn't necessarily be too chuffed about it, to be honest with you.
Apparently we may have lost pictures, unfortunately, so we're just going to, again, as we did for race 1, we'll give you a bit of as much descriptive commentary as we can. Michael Stephen, the man who caused you had problems in race 1, is already up to 13th place as he did get past Matt Malone on the run up towards Maggots Complex. But back out in front, it's still Dion Phillips leading by 1.8 seconds as Robert Plumley and Richard Wilde continue to scrap over 2nd place, but Ian D. Smythe is the man that has really got his foot down as he is charging up to the back of these 2 in 4th position. Also up there as well as the order shakes itself out across the line. Tien Darmes is 5th, but coming under attack from Gary Tool and the number 5 machine as they head through Copse Corner again, with Stefan Hug in 7th, Alain Tessier in 8th, and William Bastard and Paul Thurston rounding out the top 10. But he's coming under attack from the 50th, Jose Almeida. Almeida thinking about a move to the outside of Maggots Corner, can't get it done, but this time he's going to have to look in his mirrors because here comes Michael Stephen trying to go around. In fact, no, it's not, it's Matt Malone, sorry, in the 31. Trying to go around the outside. In fact, Stevens dropped back a couple of spots down to 14th. So whatever move he pulled off must have gone wide at some point around in Copse Corner. And they continue to go side by side. Matt Malone has possibly a run on the inside. And Gary Tool's gone off. Gary Tool has gone off just in the middle of Brooklands Corner. His car was facing backwards, I noticed, as the car flashed past the camera. And also Tien Darmes has gone off as well. So 2 major top 10 contenders, Marcus, off in the space of 2 corners.
Yeah, there was contact between those 2 guys. As I very jokingly said before the broadcast began, the big problem you're going to have with guys trying to run each other out of room going down this back straight is there are bloody great big bridge stanchions which stick out in the way, and just coming down the straight, I think, to be honest with you, Gary Tool's got a little bit nervous that he was about to run straight into one of those stanchions, and he's turned it into the machine of Tien Darmes and given him some damage, and Darmes couldn't get it stopped at the next corner at the Brooklands Luffield complex, and he's taken a tap from somebody, and that's just spun him round. So 2 separate incidents ultimately, but caused by the same contact between Tool and Darmes going down that back straight.
And there's battling going all the way down the top 10. It's just Ian D. Smythe has taken 3rd place from Robert Plumley. And also there's massive scraps going on between Stefan Hug, who's now past Alain Tessier, with also William Barnett in 7th, Barnett in 7th place. Paul Thurston is now in 8th. And Matt Malone coming under attack from Jose Almeida as they come across the line. And we're only on lap 8 of 18. It's such a fantastic race as there's so much going on down the pack at this point. And it really is what all the BSR Carrera Cup is all about, Marcus. Close quarters racing in cars that are exactly identical, all down to driver skill and setup.
Yeah, it's great stuff. As you say, all the way down through the order. I'm currently watching Michael Stephen in 12th place holding off Cyril Thomas in 13th place. He's had a great run up through the field, and he'll be keen to make those 2 places up to try and get himself in the mix for the start of lap 3. That said, there's a couple of guys that probably won't be buying him Christmas cards. He was involved in a couple of tangles on his charge up through the field, and as you can see, that's a very, very broken looking RUF 12C that Michael Stevens driving. I'm not sure who else he made contact with, but he certainly got together with Matt Dalton and helped Matt off the circuit. So yeah, he's still going, but it looks like the damage might be limiting his forward progress a little bit.
Down towards Cops Corner, it's Plumley and Huggs side by side now for 4th position, and Huggs looks like he's going to stick it around the outside, and Plumley's not going to give an inch. As Indy Smythe is up in 3rd place. As Hug now, he's going to look at it, but he's going to have to look careful because Alan Tessier is right there. One slip on the brake pedal could cause disaster for any of these guys. And also William Barnard and the 306 is up there in there as well. 4th position, and is that Indy Smythe? Is that in the... No, it is! Indy Smythe is in the barriers up at Maggotts Corner. Now, what on earth happened there? He was running in 3rd position. He wasn't around anyone. And I think possibly, Marcus, if you can look at it, looks like he may have just outbraked himself.
I just about have been. What's happened there? There's a change of surface. If you run very, very wide on the exit of Beckett's there, the surface changes from concrete to tarmac, and he's got the power down just as he's hit that surface change, and it's kicked the rear end of that roof up in the air. He's completely lost any control over the car, and he's steamed into the barriers. He's been, by the looks of it, a very lucky boy though, because it's a very bent but still running Epicuri Banana machine, and he's off on his way again, albeit down I think now in 14th place.
I'll tell you what, Robert Plumley is putting up a gargantuan effort holding off these faster cars. He had to let Stefan Hug go, who is now in 3rd place thanks to Indy Smythe's mistake, and he's now resisting massive pressure from Alan Tessier going back down the back straight once again. We're on lap 10 of 18, and once again he's might have to give up the inside line, as here comes Tessier down up the inside under brakes, and he has got his nose in front and gets the move done to move into 4th position. So now William Barnard is the next man that might try and pass the man who started on pole position in the 147. So as they come across the line once again, meanwhile whilst this has all been going on, our friend Dion Phillips is currently leading now by, well, he was leading by 2.2 seconds, but that gap has come down massively in the past few laps. It's now down to 1.5. So Richard Wild is charging along in the number 70 machine in 2nd place, and I reckon with the battles we've had down the top 10, at this rate, Richard Wild could be possibly setting us up for a battle for the lead in the next couple of laps. Yeah,
these guys are going to hit back markers. They've got Scott Malcolm and Max Lebarak in front of them, fighting hard. So they're starting to get into traffic, and within another couple of laps, Dion's going to be all over the back of these guys, and Richard in that camouflage Red Bull liveried machine is really going to try and take advantage of whatever he can do, and you know, really try and win the places, as yet again poor old Robert Plumley is getting absolutely monstered by behind it. We've now got a 4-car train of Tessier in 4th, Plumley in 5th, and Willem Barnard and Matt Malone fighting amongst themselves, but putting Plumley under real pressure, and he's doing an absolute sterling job to resist this pressure of some very, very quick guys.
But he had a chance possibly to try and repass Tessier down the backstretch, but couldn't get it done exactly. So he's had to slot into 5th position at the moment and has a small gap over William Barnard in 6th. But also a great drive so far, I've just noticed, from 7th place, Matt Malone charging up through the field. This guy, we know he's quick and know he can put in some quick laps. And look at that as he tries to sail up the inside, just clouting the curb on the inside of Maggotts. But he certainly is charging back up through the top 10. He was quite a way back down it, but he's certainly put the foot down to try and move up as high as he can. William Barnard's his next target, so of course he's got these guys in front, definitely displaying some pace, and this is a man, of course, he does regularly stream on Twitch. If you want to see his point of view, you can tune into twitch.tv Showdown 1983, and you can see his onboard view from all 3 of the races. And just watching there, William Barnard made a small mistake under braking for Luffield corner. Didn't expect, I don't think, Robert Plumley to brake as hard as he did, and got him a little bit out of shape in the 306 machine. And now this means Matt Malone possibly has a chance, but Matt Malone's certainly proving that since the change in dynamics for this rough track car, certainly proving he's one of the fastest guys out there, and this drive through the field shows it.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And speaking of drive through the field, Michael Stevens just made it into 10th place. So as we run around on lap 13, I believe, so 5 laps to go, Michael Stevens has taken 10th place. He currently sits on pole for the 3rd race, but he's getting monstered by Jose Almeida behind him, who in turn is being put under significant pressure by Cyril Thomas. But he's only just over a second away from Darrell Taylor in 9th, and then we've got that cluster of cars just in front from 5th back. So Michael Stephen has an opportunity here to maybe claim a top 5 finish if he can keep it going.
Was Michael Stephen maybe playing the strategic game here and possibly go for pole position, as you said, in race 3? We know he has the pace, and if he can just keep it on the road, rather than throw it off into the barriers or onto the grass, then he could potentially be looking himself at more consistent results and a higher place in the championship. Now, that was a lapped car that had just gone around there, I think, that they've had to try and deal with at that point. It was, look and see if it might have been, I think it was the 40 of Nick McCarron they had to try and get around on the exit of Copse Corner. But the pack itself is now charging out of maggots once again. They're all line astern as they head through. So looking at how they're going to stand, I'm noticing at the front it's getting much closer between the leaders. In fact, it has, because we'll look back to the rest of the top 10 in a moment, because Richard Wilde has caught up to the rear wing of Dion Phillips and putting him under substantial pressure as they exit onto the pit straight once again to start that 15 of 18. Coming we're inside the final 5 laps markers. We could have a change for the lead because Wilde's been absolutely charging, but there are back markers ahead. They could play a crucial part in the decision of this race and who takes the top step.
Yeah, Wilde has been absolutely flying. He really has. On that last time round, he was 0.6 of a second quicker than Phillips in front, and as we say that, he's starting to line him up now. He's having a look on the run down into the big braking area, and it looks he's got a much tighter line. He's going to be on the gas quicker. He's going to be right tucked up behind him as they go down this back straight. And if I was Dion Phillips in front, I'd be staying hard left, because you know any sense of a gap at all, and Richard Wilde is just going to sail that Red Bull liveried machine right up the inside of him.
Here he comes, trying to make an outside move, but if he can keep it there, he will have the inside front. Oh, Phillips getting very defensive, just chops off the front of Richard Wilde, and now has to try and cut through the back markers as quickly as he can. They've just got around the 51 machine, and someone else also in the, that must have been the, wasn't the 007, but the 51 car, Stephen Burke is the man they've just got around. Burke currently runs in 30th position, and the next man they have to try and get around is, if I can see the number, of
Max
course,
Labarak just up in front of him in the number 015 car. In the number 20 car.
Thank you very much. So that's Max Labarak with a rather bent-looking front end at the moment, but we're seeing here that once again Richard Wilde putting Phillips under a lot of pressure. Once more, he will have that slipstream exiting maggots to try and get the toe and the pass done. They move past.
We've lost Tessier. Tessier's disappeared. Plumley's back in 4th place. Keep calling it. I'll find out what's happened there. But we've lost Tessier. Tessier's down in 15th place.
So one of the major drivers in this championship, we have lost Alain Tessier, possibly due to a technical problem. But of course, Marcus is straight on it to find out exactly what has happened to him. But back towards the front, this battle for the lead still rages on. Of course, we've still got that great mammoth scrap in the midfield going on. Now, at the moment, it's between Robert Plumley and Matt Malone, because Matt Malone's been on an absolute stormer of a charge, and he's now right on the rear of Robert Plumley for 4th position, which is a great drive from the American as he heads down towards Copse Corner. And meanwhile, we have to keep looking at the battle for the lead. You cannot take your eyes off it, because there could be one small changes again. Wilde, for the 3rd time, tries to throw it up the inside. He tags the rear of Phillips, and Phillips goes around. Oh, now that could be controversial, because Phillips had the line. Wilde may have missed his braking point. Now I'm not sure if Wilde can claim that possibly Phillips left any room, because I'm pretty sure that Phillips had the door firmly shut. But the end result is Richard Wilde is through, and I'm trying to see exactly where he's dropped down to. Maybe around possibly 8th or 9th position, because he's slotted in just behind the battle between Jose Almeida and Michael Stephen and Gary Toole, who's up there as well, but he's possibly quite a few like that. Oh no! And he's tagged Michael Stevens, I think. Yeah, Dion Stevens has tagged Dion Phillips has tagged Michael Stevens. He almost went literally over onto his roof, and it's all fallen apart for the 015 car in the space of a lap, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's all gone Pete Tong, but Rob Plumley will be a very happy bunny, because he finds himself running in 2nd place again now, I believe, albeit 3.5 seconds down. But what it has given us, it's given us a gap from 2nd place to 5th place of only 2.5 seconds. I've had a look at that incident, but Alain Tessier probably won't want me to tell you about it. He's got very, very impatient trying to put a lap on Scott Malcolm, and Malcolm's done absolutely nothing wrong, and Tessier's just driven into the side of him and taken them both out of the race. So Tessier now down in 17th place in a very bent car, out of the top 5, but it was entirely of his own making, unfortunately.
Well, we have lost Richard Wilde, which means that incredibly the man that's going to cross the line is, would you believe it, championship leader Stefan Hug. He takes another race victory in the BSR Carrera Cup. I'm pretty sure he's as surprised as we are, because Richard Wilde did eject himself from the race and he wins the race, but a driver of the race, you have to admit, Robert Plumley, 2nd place from on the from pole position on the grid. We thought if he couldn't hold off the leaders, he may drop down the field. That was one sterling defensive effort from Robert Plumley, and he should be very happy with that. And Matt Malone as well, trouble-free, and a podium that he deserves at the number 31 machine. Great stuff. Full person in fourth place for him. Darrell Taylor is fifth, number 22. Jose Almeida sixth. Dion Phillips, who had the lead for so long, but unfortunately, thanks to an incident with if I can think of his name, with Richard Wilde, through no fault of his own, and then it just went downhill from there in the final couple of laps. He has to end up in 7th place. Cyril Thomas in 8th with a 888 car, with Jeroen Kaiser in 9th. Very quiet race weekend for him. And would you believe it, the man that starts on pole position, surprise, surprise, as we thought he might do, playing strategically to finish in the prime position, Michael Stephen will start on pole position. And Marcus, I'm pretty sure if he can keep this car on the road this time, he's going to be deadly from the front of the field.
Yeah, he's going to be very, very quick indeed. And as you said, it's definitely the polite way to phrase it. Some strategic driving there to finish up in 10th place, but a heck of a race, and my hat's off to Robert Plumley. People will say he inherited that position with the leaders taking each other out, but there was a big train of cars following him, and if he'd have allowed Matt Malone to get past him, he would have been hung out to dry. There would have been 5 or 6 cars that just would have driven straight past him because they were nose to tail. So it just goes to show how critical and how crucial it is to fight for every single position in this race. By hanging on and keeping Malone behind him, he's taken a very, very well-deserved, very, very hard-earned 2nd place. And it'll be interesting to see in this second race, this third race, sorry, what can happen. Michael Stephen is going to be a long way ahead of the rest of the quick guys. And as you say, if he can keep it on the island, he stands a great chance in this third race.
And speaking of the quick guys, I mean, some of the top guys that we had in that race are going to find themselves again starting in the midfield or down the pack. I mean, the highest kind of top guy, if you like, that's outside the top 10 is Ian D. Smythe after his mistake that he made all by himself in 13th place. Alain Tessier down in 17th after his technical problems. Gary Tall after his spin is down in 23rd. Richard Wilde, who eventually gave up, of course, I think, which was probably the courteous thing to do after his contact, was 25th. He'll start just behind Jean-Christophe Goddard. Andy Scheel, who was on the front row of the grid, will start 27th. So, I mean, and these are not slow guys. Matthew Dalton, who's won a races already this season, down in 31st. These are not slow guys. Tien Dames will start 33rd. So we could be in for a crack of a race 3 here with these guys trying to carve their way through the field past the guys not exactly on the pace. And we could be in for an absolute, possibly one of the best races of the season, possibly, that's shaping up to be. And I really hope, Marcus, that's not an anticlimax.
No, I think that all the ingredients are there. We just need to rely on these guys to keep it safe, keep it clean. And I think by lap 15, 16 of this third race, we could have a very exciting looking top 5.
Well, we'll find out in just several minutes' time. Of course, if you have enjoyed this race, of course, be sure to give it a like on the video. And of course, if you want to watch the potentially mouth-watering prospect that is race 3 here at Silverstone, then be sure to click back onto the main BSR TV page. Click the logo for race 3, which will be marked as round number 12 at Silverstone. And in just a few minutes' time, you'll see myself and Scott Woodward and Marcus Narris calling all the shots for you. So stick with us. Head over to race 3, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes' time.